Hey guys, Michael here. I'm going to be building a new personal computer for my family's main workstation, if you could call it that. We're coming off probably a 6-year-old Dell computer, and this is my first attempt at building a personal computer. In this video, I'm going to show you the components that I chose and a brief explanation on why I chose them. So we'll start with the motherboard. Basically, the motherboard is the connection or the primary component that connects everything in your computer together. So you really want to get one that's quality. You don't really want to cheap out on the motherboard. With that in mind, I basically chose this one because it was the least expensive motherboard that supports the new architecture in the Socket 1336 for new Intel CPUs. It had good reviews, good, if you want to call it that, good write-ups. So it's a pretty solid thing, and I'm not really going to be doing a lot of overclocking with this, so I don't need anything super crazy. Next up, we'll talk about the CPU that I chose. This is the Core i7 quad-core desktop Nehalem chip from Intel. If you remember, I talked about the new Mac Pros and the lower end one that's only 4-core. This is actually the same CPU that's in those new Mac Pros. So we know it's quality. I really wanted something that would last a long time, so this is 2.66 gigahertz, Core LGA 1366, 45 nanometer, 8 megs of cache. Maybe I'll do a little bit of overclocking on this, maybe bring it up to 3 gigahertz, it all depends. Jumping around, here's my RAM. This is OCZ high performance triple channel memory. These are 2 gigs a stick, so 2 times 3 is 6 gigs. 6 gigs of DDR3 memory. I was really going for cost. It had a good review and also had a pretty sweet price with a mail-in rebate that I'll have to do as well. So this is PC10666. Again, 2 gigs a stick. And it's looking like it's going to fit quite nicely in this new machine because I want this machine to run extremely well for the next several years. My graphics card. Originally, I was just going to go with the GeForce GTX 260, which is what this is. But I was exploring on Newegg right before I purchased, and I realized that for the same price after mail-in rebate, I could get the Core 216 version. So several more cores, over 20 more cores on this for the same price. It's really nice. I'm not necessarily doing a lot of gaming, but it's kind of nice to have the upgraded graphics card. Again, just so you know, this was all purchased off Newegg, and I have to scrunch down a little bit just so we can fit everything into the frame, in case you were wondering. Now, to power all this, you want to get a quality power supply. I went with a Corsair 650 watt power supply. Corsair is one of the best names on the market that you can buy for power supplies, and I really do not suggest cheaping out on the power supply. You can go lower on the CPU maybe, or on the graphics card depending on your needs, but if the system isn't going to get nice power, even power, and enough wattage, you're going to have a lot of issues. Your system may not even run if you don't have enough power coming out of your out of your power supply. So particularly if you're getting a power supply with your case, you want to make sure that you're going to at least have enough wattage for all the components that you're running. Otherwise, I would definitely recommend going with Corsair for your memory. And by memory, I mean power supply. Now, I did go with 2 OEM components. Most of these are retail, but these are 2 OEMs, so I could save a little bit of cash. This is just a standard OEM SATA DVD burner, if you will. And this over here is my Western Digital Green Caviar 1 terabyte drive. So what I could have done was go with a Raptor drive for really fast performance, and then gone with a terabyte drive. That's a little bit less expensive for all my data, but I wanted to have it all on one hard drive, and this Caviar drive will run quietly, efficiently, and it's 1 terabyte, so it'll be able to store everything I need. The last thing, OEM, I went with a System Builder copy of Windows Vista Home Premium 64-bit. If you're going to be going over 3 gigs of RAM, this is indeed 6, you're going to need to go for the 64-bit operating system, otherwise it's not going to work. So let's just move around here to show you the components that won't fit. I'm not sure how I'm going to hold this up, but I went with the Antec P182 Advanced Super Mid Tower for my case. I did that for two reasons. It's pretty quiet. It uses some special thing to keep all the noise inside, and it also separates the power supply and the motherboard and CPU. So you have two sections of your case separately cooled, so it's quieter and cooler, I guess. So that's an important thing. I'm just going to be recycling an old keyboard and mouse, so I don't have one of those, but I am going with a 24-inch Samsung LCD. Supports HDCP, so if I want to play Blu-ray or whatever on here, I have that option. Resolution is 1920 by 1200, so a little bit greater than 1080p. So those are just the components I chose. If you have any questions about what components you should choose, feel free to comment me or email me at therevivedone@gmail.com. When you're choosing components, what I did was I went and I knew I wanted to get this CPU. So I went out and then I got a motherboard that I knew supported it. Okay? From there, I got a graphics card that I knew would work with it, and RAM. You need to make sure the RAM is the same as what will be supported on your motherboard. And then from there, you know, your DVD burner and your hard drive are pretty much standard. It's just an SATA connection, so you'll know that it'll work. So those are just the components that I chose for my new system build.